everyone, I am Sneha, co-founder and CEO DevCompass, and I am extremely happy to see you guys again. We've come really far and a few more videos to go, and I can't believe that it feels like I just started recording all those videos. But we've been discussing about so many things. Specifically, this particular section is all about the context window and how AI starts to hallucinate, how the conversation and the context starts degrading. In the last video, we talked about the lost in the middle problem and how can we actually potentially fix it. And in this video, we're going to talk about the second failure pattern, which happens a lot in the production logs, which is mis-escalation. AI agent starts escalating it to humans when it shouldn't, and it doesn't when it should. So there are two directions, and that is what we're going to talk about. So let's get started. So the agent is escalating frustrated customers who have very simple resolvable requests, like a $20 refund, a shipping query, and it's not exactly escalating genuinely complex cases that require human judgment, like a customer disputing a charge that believe is fraudulent, a case that has touched 3 different orders over 2 months. One direction wastes human agents' time on easy cases. The other leaves genuinely difficult customers without the help they need. The root cause in both these problems is the same, and that is how the escalation criteria was written around sentiment. If the customer seems frustrated, escalate. If the conversation is complex, escalate. Those aren't criteria, and we covered this in stage 4, video 8, that vague instructions produce very inconsistent results. Escalation is the exact same problem. This video is about writing the correct way and the correct escalation criteria that produces consistent testable behavior. So let's see, how does this sentiment based and the right escalation criteria look like. Okay, so if the customer seems frustrated or upset, escalate. That is a clearly sentiment-based escalation criteria. If the issue seems complex or sensitive, escalate. If the customer has been waiting a long time, use your judgment. If the tone suggests dissatisfaction, consider escalating. Every one of them is a feeling, a seeming, a judgment call. Seems frustrated, Claude reads tone, makes an assessment. That assessment literally varies by run. Seems complex by whose standard? Is it my standard, your standard, Claude's standard? What is it? A refund request with 5 items could seem complex. A fraud dispute, which is phrased very politely, might not seem complex at all. So if you look at the run results, customer A politely asks about a $15 billing discrepancy. Claude assesses matter-of-fact tone, not frustrated, please do not escalate, which is wrong. This is a billing dispute that needs human review. Customer B uses several exclamation points asking about a delayed package. Claude assesses, seems frustrated, escalate. Wrong. A shipping delay is a resolvable without a human. If you look at the right card, it is a very specific categorical criteria, 4 criteria. Everyone is a verifiable condition. Escalate if the customer explicitly requests a human agent. Direct, very clear. The issue involves a potential fraudulent charge. The same issue has been raised in 3 or more turns without resolution. And 4th, the refund amount exceeds $500. So no reading of tone requirement, no judgment call, no reading between the lines for Claude. Each criteria is either true or false. So if you run the results on right, same customer A, billing discrepancy, it mentions and matches 3rd mention of it now, no resolution, so criteria 3 fires, so escalate to human. Customer B, delayed package, 1st mention, no criteria met, so resolve in line, correct both times, right? So now Again, as usual, we will break it into 4 simple steps for writing escalation criteria that hold up. First, list the cases that actually require human judgment, not complex. Name the cases. Potential fraud, legal action mentioned, policy exception required, refund above threshold, okay, medical or safety concern. These are the situations where a human genuinely adds value that the agent cannot replicate. So write them down before writing the criteria. Be very clear on when you want a human to intervene. Step 2, write each as a binary condition, 0 or a 1. Potential fraud becomes the customer has disputed a charge as fraudulent. Legal action becomes the customer has mentioned legal action or referenced a lawyer. Binary, true or false. No interpretation required, no understanding of feelings, no understanding tone, just a true or a false. Step 3, add a coverage check. The repeat without resolution criteria. This is criteria 3 from the previous card. It's a catch-all for situations where the agent is genuinely stuck regardless of the reason. If the same issue has been raised in 3 turns and it isn't resolved, something has definitely gone wrong. Either the agent can't solve it or the customer isn't being helped. So you need to escalate and involve a human. This one criteria catches failure modes that you didn't anticipate when you wrote the other criteria. And step 4, add a few short examples. Again, we have discussed this, that examples are way better than just adding prompts. 3 examples for the walkthrough will also cover this. 1 that clearly escalates, 1 that clearly doesn't despite sounding complex, and 1 edge case. The examples do for escalation criteria what they do for extraction. They make the boundary very, very concrete where the criteria alone leaves ambiguity. The edge case example is the most important one. It's the case where learners and the exam will both test your understanding. So let's take a look at a few short examples. First one, escalates. Customer's message: I have been charged $340 for an order I never placed. I have called twice and nothing has been fixed. Criteria 2 fires, disputed charge. Criteria 3 fires, 3 contacts, no resolution. Correct action, escalate to human. Why? Disputed charge above threshold, multiple unresolved contacts, no resolution. So 2 independent criteria, both triggered. Example 2, does not escalate despite sounding very frustrated and complex. The customer's message is: I am extremely frustrated. I have been waiting 3 weeks for this refund and I have sent 3 emails with no response. Sounds like it should escalate. High frustration, multiple contacts, refund delay. But look at the criteria. No fraud dispute, no legal mention. The 3 contact criteria, criteria 3 hasn't fired yet in this conversation. This is the first turn we are seeing here. Refund amount unknown, maybe under threshold. Correct action, resolve in line. Collect the refund details and process it. The frustration of the customer is real. The escalation criteria aren't met. The second example is the hardest one and the most important one for the exam because it tests whether you're applying for the specific criteria or are you reverting back basis of the sentiments. High frustration does not equal escalation criteria met. Example 3 is an edge case. Customer's message: my elderly mother placed this order but she passed away last week. I need to cancel it and get a refund. No fraud, no legal action, no repeat. Refund amount unknown. But this is a situation where human judgment clearly adds value, tone, sensitivity, potential for policy exception. This is where your catch-all criteria needs to be brought enough. Consider adding criteria 5. Situation requires sensitivity beyond standard resolution, and use this example to define what that means correctly. So that was it for this video. We discussed a few things. Sentiment based criteria is non-deterministic, inconsistent. Don't use them because it literally puts the AI agent to making judgments on its own, which might vary with each run. Second, be very specific, be very specific with binary criterias. Repeat without resolution, catch all. And we discussed 3 example: escalate, doesn't escalate despite frustration, edge case. So that was all. So escalation criterias are now specific, they're testable, they're consistent. The next failure pattern that we're going to talk about is in the multi-agent layer, and it's the hardest to diagnose because it does not produce an error at all. Strange. It produces a result that looks correct until you check the details. Even more difficult. The coordinator receives a result from a sub-agent, synthesizes it, and hands it to the customer. Somewhere in that chain, a timeout was silently handled wrong. A partial result was treated as complete, or a conflict between 2 sub-agents was silently resolved rather than flagged. So the next video is about exactly this, and I will see you in the next one. Till then, please attempt your walkthroughs and assignments. I am excited.